You're listening to this week's podcast from The Next Round with Robert and Maria.
This is the Knockout Queen here in The Next Round. And Robert Mercado here.
Hey.
And wait, hey, what up? I want to let everyone know we have Mr. Brian Campbell here, boxing writer, fight editor, and Making the Rounds analyst for ESPN. He's joining us right now. Hello there, sir.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much. I know you're over there in Vegas, and you're busy over there with all that's going on there with Mayweather, Maidana. So why don't you tell us how it's all looking, how it's all going?
Well, it's the rematch, of course, at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas Saturday on pay-per-view. And, the buzz is building. I really don't think that the first fight between the two of them in May really had a whole lot of buzz because a lot of people thought coming in that you were really going to be looking at a one-sided walkover for Mayweather. And that first fight really surprised us. And I think the buzz has been a little bit slow to build for the rematch, but you can feel it in the air in Las Vegas. Today was the undercard press conference. Tomorrow will be the weigh-in. It's starting to pick up. This is an interesting fight as we head into Saturday.
Oh, yeah. So we've been anticipating. I think the whole world, all of America has been anticipating this bout with, number 2, Mayweather, Maidana. After the first one, I mean, I say, it was very close. And so now I'm saying that, Mayweather is going to be dominating this time around, just proving that, hey, I'm going out. I only got a few more bouts left. I'm going to show what I'm made of, who I am. I don't know. I mean, but that's just me. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not far off from where you're at there. I think that's sort of the general consensus. When you look back at the first fight, it was surprising. But I think there's a lot of different reasons you can point to as to why that was. Did we see maybe a distracted Floyd who had a lot going on outside the ring, as we later found out with a breakup with his fiancée, other things that were sort of in his mind? Does that mix with maybe he took Maidana a little bit lightly? Maybe Maidana's awkward, unorthodox style was a little bit harder to adjust to than he thought. And maybe, just maybe, Floyd looked like he retreated to the ropes a little too easily. Like maybe he thought he wanted to stand and trade. The fight got pretty difficult, but you got to give Floyd credit because he's known for those patented mid-fight adjustments. And even though that first fight was very close, and I wouldn't be angry at anybody who did have a draw or had it for Maidana, I think Floyd did enough, and it was clear to win a close fight.
Right, I agree. What do you think, Robert?
Well, I definitely think that Floyd won the first fight. I think it was a very scrappy fight. You heard Robert Garcia telling him Maidana to fight dirty. Marcos Maidana is thinking that he's going to win with a knockout. Do you think that's even possible against Floyd Mayweather with such great defense that he has?
Yeah, I mean, nobody gets to hit Floyd clean, right? And if you get one shot, historically, you don't get a second. I mean, we've seen anyone from Chop Corley to Zab Judah to Shane Mosley really land a good shot that appeared to rattle Floyd. But Floyd's got an excellent chin. He knows what to do in those situations to buy himself some time and get out of trouble. And as much as Maidana had success in that first fight, cornering and mauling Floyd, I mean, straight mauling him with an outright dirty style, he really didn't have a lot of success landing flush shots. And I think that is what builds toward the case that it's going to be harder for him to duplicate that the second time around, because I don't think the fight with a new referee is going to be called as liberally as the first fight was, where both fighters got away with a lot of dirty tactics.
Mm-hmm. Now, we did. We were online and looking at ESPN, and you put on there 5 pointers, 5 keys to victory. Did you want to go over that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a good feature we do on the site, 5 keys for both guys. And, I think when you look at Floyd, the key obviously is to box and to make those adjustments earlier and to stay off the ropes. Whether he willingly lured himself there the first fight or whether he was just overwhelmed, he's going to be in trouble when he's in a confined space because he's got less room to work with. Even though he's got 37-year-old legs, he's still got quick legs, some of the quickest hands, amazing accuracy on his counter shots. He's got to keep that fight in the center of the ring. And when he did in that first fight, it was a much different fight. He was jabbing to the body. That was another key, I thought. Really just create that distance. When he's in control and he's taking the lead, he's a master. And for Maidana, what can he do differently? What are his keys? I think he's got to amp up the pressure. And if you watched Showtime's All Access documentary series, which is excellent, previewing this fight, they talked about it in his camp, coming in leaner, focusing more on just volume of punches and following Floyd at full speed the whole fight, not trying to load up with one big one. That's going to be key. I think mixing in his jab for Maidana is going to be really key because he throws a heavy jab, but it's an awkward one. He bends at his waist before he throws it. He turns his arm, corkscrews his punches sometimes. I mean, this is a really, really raw, unorthodox fighter, but a guy who's been able to pull it together under trainer Robert Garcia, and it's hard to pick him up. And even Floyd had problems picking up those angles. So those are really the keys for both guys getting over the hump and getting a cleaner victory the second time around.
Well, I just have a question to ask you. Now, we do know that Marcos Maidana has a new strength coach. Do you think that's going to play have anything to do with this bout? And do you think that Mayweather's training properly for this match? Is he being serious, or is All Access just a big show? Because I'm watching All Access, and I'm like, oh my God, watching him eat 2 Big Macs. And
it's like a circus.
So I'm trying to figure out, is there behind the scenes where Mayweather takes things more seriously?
You know, Floyd will claim he invented this genre with HBO's 24/7, this pre-fight documentary series. And he probably did, and he's been around the block. You know, I mean, so many times. This might be, I think it's his 12th straight time headlining a pay-per-view fight. So we've seen so much of Floyd that I don't really tend to believe anything that we see anymore on his All Access preview shows. It's a lot of circus and carnival and hype to get you to get into the fight. I don't think anyone takes training, more serious than Floyd. As far as the strength coaches, Maidana did switch. The Maidana camp got rid of Alex Ariza. They brought in a replacement, a guy who's worked with a lot of champions, and that's going to be a big key for Maidana to be in better shape cardiovascularly to avoid that second half fade. But the wrinkle there is that Floyd Mayweather brought back Alex Ariza into his camp, which sort of has that WWE storyline to it. I mean, Floyd's been coy this week. He's saying that Ariza is not on the payroll, but maybe, just maybe, Ariza has helped him learn a few more stretching. So, it's hard to know what that really means, but it's interesting. It adds to the wrinkle of the promotion.
But is he still being coached by his uncle? And I know his father's now joined the coaching team as well.
That's so bizarre.
Is he actually being coached by these guys, or is he pretty much coaching or managing himself when it comes to training?
I think that's generally the assumption on Floyd, that he trains himself. I mean, he's got a wealth of knowledge in his corner, whether it be his father, Floyd Sr. He exclusively used his uncle Roger for a long time, a former champion. He's got a legendary cut man in Rafael Garcia. But when you go back at any fights in recent years where Floyd was maybe in a little bit of trouble or an uncomfortable spot, he's the guy who's calming down his cornermen. He's the guy who's saying, hey, everybody relax, I got this.
Yeah.
Right.
His team works hard for him, but I think that assumption might be true, that this guy sort of calls his own shots in life and inside the ring.
Yep.
Now, do you anticipate anything out of the ordinary to happen tomorrow at the weigh-ins?
I don't, because Maidana, for as ferocious as he is in the ring, and he is, he's a very, very docile, respectful man outside of the ring. I mean, the key to his success, maybe, is that he doesn't respect his opponents. I mean, he was so willingly dirty against Floyd in the first fight, but he's just relaxed. He's so chill outside of the ring. He's got all these crazy tattoos, yet he's just chill guy wearing those fancy suits to the press conference and to the weigh-ins. But, Floyd has also been sort of just laid back again. I mean, I thought one thing that was interesting before the first fight, I was here in Fight Week in Las Vegas, and Floyd was very emotional. And maybe you want to connect the dots and say he was going through a hard breakup. There was some controversy in his life.
There was a lot,
but he was talking in the past tense. He was almost talking in retirement terms at times, dropping the R word a few times. I don't see that this time around. I think this is all business. Floyd is back to normal. Maybe he's not as passionate because this isn't as crazy big of a fight as like a Canelo Alvarez showdown 2 fights ago.
Right.
But he's going to be ready, and he's going to be all there.
Well, I think he's calming down a bit. I mean, because this is getting towards the end of his career now, his boxing career in the ring. So I think he's kind of just mellowing down. He's getting up there in age, and he's done everything known. I mean, to be everything that's just shocked us.
So how about these undercards? You think these undercards are going to hold up to the hype?
Yeah, this undercard, I think, it's got some good names, but I'm a little disappointed in it, especially in recent Floyd fights. He's had much bigger co-main events. I mean, we were all fired up for Garcia, Matisse 2 fights ago. Khan Palaza was a good fight last time. I thought maybe they dropped the ball not putting like a Broner Matisse level fight on this time. But, you got some names. Leo Santa Cruz is always going to entertain, even if he's against an opponent, Manuel Roman, who really is not remotely deserving of this spot. But you have another name in Alfredo Angulo, another all-action guy. You got a second title fight from the lightweight division, Mickey Bay going up against Miguel Vasquez. there's some interesting fights, but I don't think it's going to really pull people to stay in their chairs for all four fights. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to say? Maybe even give us something like, a little juicy going on there that you've seen.
One of the sort of controversial things that came out of this week was Tuesday when Floyd made his grand arrival to the MGM Grand, where he pulls up in the limo, walks through the crowd of people, does the first sort of serious sit-down interviews with the reporters. He really had some distasteful, if you will, comments about the Ray Rice situation and how the NFL handled it.
Right.
When you look at Floyd himself has had multiple troubles with the law when it comes to domestic violence in the past.
Right.
It really turned a lot of people off. It really was one of those, like, are you kidding me type of PR moments. He's come back in the last 24 hours and attempted to clean that up, saying he hadn't seen the Ray Rice video before making those comments. He's apologizing to everyone he can get a chance to. I'm not here to judge his sincerity, but
Correct.
That was sort of like a pot kettle moment where I think a lot of fans were like, "Are you kidding me?" That's a tough PR moment to iron out.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous, and it just hopes that it doesn't take away from this week's fight because when you want to keep his mind on the fight, and that's something that possibly might take his mind off the fight a little bit, considering that he's got the background.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. I mean, there's also the lawsuit, a civil lawsuit filed against him, and the timing, of course, is key, but a civil lawsuit by his ex-fiancée for those same sort of transgressions. And it's sad. You don't know the truthfulness, the reality of these things, but the fact that Floyd's name keeps popping up is very damaging to his brand, and it's just not a good situation.
It is, but you know what? I mean, he does just amazing, in the ring as far as being a professional that way and how his style and his boxing, but outside of the ring, it's like everything is just chaos always for him.
What? I don't think that Mr. Ryan. I don't think it's chaos. I think it's all entertainment. I think that he's a great entertainer. I think sometimes he doesn't know when to turn it off, and I think that sometimes the common sense just didn't come in. And I think that's why he made that comment, because he just wasn't using his common sense. He had his entertainment button on. But
yeah, that's a good point. I like that point you made, because let's not forget this guy is a genius villain, and that's really been the key to his success, is building his pound for pound, his pay-per-view brand on being this brash, outspoken guy who makes you want to buy fights with the hopes of seeing him lose just as much as you want to buy the fights to see him showcase his brilliance. So that's a good point. Maybe he just doesn't know when to turn it off, and it's hard to really find that line of who Floyd really is. The closer you get to him, it's tough to sort of pick it out, because you get different versions of him at different times.
Yeah, because you got to remember he does travel with his 4 children, right? And I see a lot of fatherly stuff going on as well that they probably don't show as much as that is actually happening.
Yeah, no question about it. And he knows what sells. And what sells is talking trash sometimes,
drama.
and
people love
money
drama
in the air and what have you. So he is a master and a genius at that, because let's not forget, this guy was a pound-for-pound #1 fighter long before his pay-per-view brand caught up to that level. So there were years there where he wasn't really making big money, wasn't on pay-per-view.
Right.
He had the critical success from the boxing public, but he didn't have the crossover success. And he's a guy that sort of figured out how to create that new character to sort of get up to that level.
That's true, because you know what, people just love, for some reason, they just love drama. They just love watching. They don't want to have drama, but they want to watch drama elsewhere. And he certainly has that, and he brings it out all the time, But he is good. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think you're right. I think they expect that in this sport. This is a combat sport that's not too far away from pro wrestling at times. So I think fans attract to that. They love it.
What do you think Pacquiao and Algieri are making a mistake by? Because I've seen pictures of the picture of Pacquiao standing above Algieri on a chair, and I just think it's too playful. Do you think that they're making a mistake by not selling? There's not going to be enough ticket sales because they're not taking it seriously? Because I like to see 2 men angry that want to fight, and these 2 guys, they don't look like they're too angry.
That's a good point. Those are 2 rough personalities. They're great guys, but those are rough personalities as far as selling it, and it's already a fight that a lot of people don't think is pay-per-view worthy and don't want to see it. So it made sense if you watch closely in the past few weeks that Bob Arum, Pacquiao's promoter, has done a lot of time talking about Floyd Mayweather instead of talking about Pacquiao and Algieri, which is very strategic of him.
Yeah, and they're saying that they're trying to use that to sell some tickets over on that side, right?
Oh yeah, just trying to draw attention.
Really
I mean, who knows? Mayweather Pacquiao, but now Aram's talking about it. You can't take that seriously.
No, that's true. Now, if anyone wants to hear more or read more about you, I know you're on ESPN. Is there anywhere else where they can find you? Information about you?
They can find me on Twitter at bcampbellespn. We have a weekly boxing show making the rounds as well on ESPN.com. Where we are live on location right now, of course, in Las Vegas. Just filmed a couple segments before this call, so that's where they can find my work if they're interested.
There you go. Well, Mr. Brian Campbell there, ESPN, thank you so much. Oh, my goodness. We're at the end of the hour here, so I wish we could talk some more because you've got so much information, so much fun, and then you're there. You're right there. Oh, my gosh. I wish I could be there and just see everything that you're seeing, but you painted a pretty good picture, so I really appreciate that.
Please do call back again, sir. I mean, this has been a great pleasure. We just appreciate it so much for you to call in and give us the actual action on the scene because we know you're there.
Yes.
You're doing your thing, and we love it. I mean, I got goosebumps.
We do.
First Ray.
Wow, guys, there's too much flattering going on.
First Ray and then
you.
First we got Ray and then we got you. It's like goosebump heaven over here.
You guys are awesome, but thank you so much. Enjoy your time there, and maybe next week you can give us an update on on what happened, post fight and everything else that went on afterwards.
Definitely, let's do it.
All right, there, Mr. Brian Campbell, ESPN. Thank you so much. You're listening Take care. You're listening to the next round here, the Knockout Queen and Robert, aka the Champ Mercado, right?
I ain't even going there. That champ crap. That was awesome. First Ray and then Brian. That was great. This has been a great segment.
It was. You don't want to miss out next week. We're on every Thursdays 4 to 6 here, SportsTownChicago.com. The next round, the Knockout Queen here. And give us a call here next week, 630-403-5200. Hit us up on Twitter at The Next Round, too, and also like our Facebook page, The Next Round. Thank you so much. Love y'all. Much love to you all in the Shy and all around the world.
That was the Next Round podcast. For more podcasts and information, go to SportsTownChicago.com.